Hey, Mallory. So we are talking about the first 48 hours after an accident, which is the critical time to do several things.
Yeah, we get questions about this a lot. People get into a car accident, maybe it's their first one, they don't know what to do. So let's jump right in. First things first, you want to ensure your safety. That's the most important piece at the very beginning. Check yourself for injuries. Check your passengers for injuries if you have passengers. Obviously, get your car off the road if that's safe to do so. You don't want to be blocking traffic. And you can also check the other driver, for injuries if that's safe as well, and immediately call 911. You want to get the police there as soon as possible, even if it seems like a sort of minor accident. You don't think maybe the police need to be involved. It's still really important. Maybe the other drivers, being cooperative, saying we don't need to get police involved. That's actually a red flag. You really want to get police involved and have that police report explaining what happened during the accident. Really, really important because you never know. People can be kind in the moment and can seem like they're going to be cooperative, but a lot of times, this has happened to me multiple times. I get someone on the phone who didn't call the police because they had a good relationship with the other driver. They thought they got all their information and it was fine, and then they can't get a hold of that person, or the driver changes their story when they talk to the insurance later. And at that point, it's your word versus theirs. So having that report of what the police, wrote down and what happened on that day in that moment is really, really important, especially for your legal case if it turns into something where there's an injury and you need help. So getting that
Yeah,
police and medical response right away is really important.
absolutely. Like there's so many times when we've had the case for a while and we can't get the case settled, so we end up filing a lawsuit. And having that police report when we're filing the lawsuit is really important for our paralegals and our attorneys to be able to see the defendant's accurate information, the vehicle, any of the witnesses that were present, the actual location of it. And it's just a third party, who happens to be the police that is writing this report. So it's ultra credible. So that's it's important to get a police report. The second thing that I think is really important is seeking medical attention, especially, when you're injured. If you're not injured at all, even sometimes then you have a lot of adrenaline and that masks the injury. So the next day or two, sometimes even 2, 3 days later, you begin feeling this soreness when the adrenaline goes down and it kicks in. Just like when you work out, you don't feel that right away. It takes sometimes a day or two before you start feeling sore. Similarly, in a car accident, same thing. But in addition to just ensuring that you're okay, no broken bones, making sure that you're not missing something, because sometimes you don't even realize how badly injured you are, but also for early documentation that secures up any causation issues down the road. And when you do go seek medical attention, whether it's going to the ER or an urgent care or even your primary doctor, if you can get in soon enough, you want to make sure that you talk about each and every one of your injuries or each and every one of your pain complaints, because that initial visit and the initial couple visits right after the car accident are critical in that it preserves the evidence and it connects it to the car accident.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said about causation is really important. Sometimes insurance companies will try to argue that this injury is not related to the accident if you went, a week or two after. So that any kind of little delay of a few days or a week or two can make a big difference for your case. So definitely going and getting care as soon as possible is really, really important. The third thing is document the scene, right? So take photos, take videos, take photos of your vehicle, the other vehicle, the damage that was done to each vehicle, multiple angles if you can, the road conditions, take a photo of what the intersection looked like if you can, if it's safe, again, to do so. If you have any visible injuries, cuts, scrapes, bruises, take photos of those. The surrounding areas, if there's sometimes accidents, there's some kind of physical structure involved, like something blocking the road or something like that, take pictures of all of that. And also, I would recommend taking pictures of the license plate for the other driver and their insurance information if they are willing to provide that to you, their insurance card, their driver's license. That can help gather that information that you're going to need later to help establish what happened. So it's not just, again, your word versus the other person. You have physical documentation and evidence of what happened.
Yeah, and that's especially true if the police don't show up to the scene, because there are times when you call 911 and they just say that it's not significant enough for us to come out there. And if that happens, at least you have the 911 call that's documented, that, we can get the recording of that later down the road. But in addition to that, that when the police don't show up, that becomes ultra critical to get the license plate and the insurance info. And, anybody with a phone can get that. So the fourth thing that I think is pretty important is identifying any witnesses who can help. And, you see some people will stop and come out and say, hey, I saw what happened. Or even if it's afterwards, getting their name and phone number, not just talking to them, but getting their name and phone number is critical. And that's what the police do when they come. But sometimes by the time the police come, the witness is already left because, they're busy. They got other things to do. So getting name and phone number, super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when they do talk to the police, I've had cases where, someone calls me and tells me, "Oh, the police talked to that person," but it's not in the report. So sometimes police do leave things out if they don't think it's important, but it's really, really good to get those witnesses for yourself just to have a record. Fifth thing I would say is watch your statements. So this is something that you might hear lawyers talk about a lot. Anything you say can be used against you. That's true in criminal law, but it's also true here. Avoid admitting fault, avoid apologizing. It's sort of human nature when an accident happens, someone bumps you in the store and you say, "Oh, sorry," even if it wasn't your fault. But in this case, when in a car accident, you want to be really careful about what you say, because the other person's insurance could use that to say, "Oh, you were admitting fault for the accident," if you try to apologize after. So you can be kind, you can be caring, you can be compassionate, but just be very careful about saying anything that would be an admission of fault. And when you are describing the accident to the police, especially, stick to the facts, right? You don't need to speculate about what you think might have been happening. "Oh, I think I might have been going too fast." Again, sometimes it is human nature to sort of talk about things speculatively, but all of those things can be used against you later. So just be very, factual, stick to what happened, what you experienced, and that's it. And that'll help you later down the line to not have those things thrown back in your face by the insurance company, in a way that you didn't intend them to be received.
Absolutely. That's a good point. The sixth thing is notifying your insurance company. And when I say that, it's your own insurance company, not notifying the other party's insurance company, but your own. And you have a duty to actually do that. So letting them know that you were involved in an accident, letting them know that what the facts of the accident were in terms of liability. You don't need to go into detail regarding the medical side of things because you don't really know. You can let them know that you're hurt, can let them know generally where you're hurting. But until you truly understand your injuries, you don't need to talk to your insurance company about that kind of stuff. But getting liability cleaned up with them, that's a good thing. Do not talk to the other person's insurance company, though. And that's an important distinction.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have a duty to talk to the other person's insurance company, and what you say to your own insurance company can be very limited, again, to just the facts. Number 7 of what to do is stay off of social media. So this is one that people don't always think about, but it
Now,
can.